were brave enough to, I said, you're going to be my guinea pig. Are you cool with that? And you're like, yeah, shit, sounds good. So going 2 years ago and going this time, you kept in touch with a lot of the friends we made over there 2 years ago, and kept in touch through WhatsApp and social media. And I know you and I have had some conversations about seeing that long-term impact and like the investment there and going back. Can you talk to us a little bit about what some of those conversations and relationships have looked like?
Yeah, so absolutely. So as a longtime mentor, coach, and I was a 20-year educator, early in my career I realized that there is a long game approach and a short game approach. And the short game really feels good. So when you take that homeless guy and you give him 20 bucks, it feels really good. Give him 20 bucks. And then you went on your way. And then the long game approach is you go back to that homeless guy every week. You give him a sandwich and have conversations. And when I look at my life and the really stimulative, healthy growth points and relationships in my life, there's been a few key figures that have been there for years and years and years. So, coming to Iraq, the first go around, I'll have to admit, I know this is probably something you're not supposed to say, but it was a little egocentric on my part. There was a lot of focus on myself. Oh man, what am I doing here? Am I going to look bad? Did they have me lecturing at the university? Should I be lecturing at the university as a high school English teacher 20 years ago? So anyway, there was a lot of focus on that, but the sophomore year, there was a lot more focus on the people themselves and God's work. And what had helped preface that is we got kind of delayed, and in the delay, I felt really, really convicted because these people are so isolated. They're in an island, a cultural island, in a place that they did not want to go to. They were forced there because of life-threatening circumstances, and they're stuck in this country that is not their own. Refugee comes from the word refuge, and refuge is a safe place, a place that harbors safety from distress. That is not their case. They are very distressed there. So when we call them refugees and we say they have a refuge, they're not in a refuge. They're in a slightly less dangerous place. So coming back to them, I felt really terrible about the fact that our trip had gotten postponed, and so there was a lot of dialogue. They all do WhatsApp, which I, technological dinosaur that I am, I figured out how to use it, and so I was just having this conversation, and it started with a lot of apologies, like we were so bummed, and then from that authenticity, because it came from a place of unselfishness, not egocentric, them-centric, Christ-centered, there was this dialogue that grew depth. Suddenly I was hearing about jobs that had been lost, brother who was having epileptic seizures in real life. That had not been the case in our previous conversations. And by doing that, there was this deep love that was transitioning back and forth between the two of us, so that when we showed up, there was a different embrace. There was some barriers that had been broken down, and we were able to, I did floors. At one point, I lectured on the ecumenical approach of feminism in a second world country. I don't even know what that means. We were thrown into all kinds of crazy stuff, and there's a tendency to think that was the meat and potatoes. Honestly, what we did most catalytic for their growth, their health, their coming to God was just simply listening to their stories and actually being engaged in living them. That was the greatest thing I did over there. And so because
aside from breaking Christian's nose 2 years ago and then making him pass out in the gym this time too.
So
it's a great friend.
So just to clarify this, because I look back here, and I probably deserve that. Christian and I go way back, and I've had a very long MMA career. I still coach a little bit on the side. And so the first go around, we were teaching Kurdish women self-defense, which was a totally new concept to them. They never heard of it. There's a ton of sex trafficking that had happened over there, so this was a beautiful moment and just very impactful. But it ended up being impactful in more ways than one, because we had a little miscommunication, and I ended up kneeing him in the nose and a broken blood everywhere. The good part is the women were excited about that. They're like, oh, it really works. So it was cool. And then this go around.
And Kurds have an amazing sense of humor.
They do. We have much to learn from that. This go around, we were at a different gym, and this time it was all men who aspired to be fighters, and again, miscommunication. So one of the after effects of him having been in war is hearing's not great. So I think I talked into the wrong ear, and I was teaching them all a choke, and then he went to sleep. So, also effective. But anyway, to wrap up on a much brighter note than just physical violence in front of a bunch of people who were trying to show the love of God to, the greatest impact we had was the consistency of relationship. You want to go in there, there's a savior complex, and then you are on the other side of that of, oh man, what am I doing? I have no reason to be here. I'm way unworthy. All that fades away in the heart of the relationship. Showing them God's love was done through very simple conversations that were consistent over and over.
Awesome, thanks guys. All right, well, I'm kicking you off and Katie's up next.